Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. As you know, I signed Executive Order number 42, establishing a New Jersey Educator Effectiveness Task Force. And the goal of this task force was to begin to do the research and then lay out the recommendations that needed to be made in order to try to make sure that we set up a teacher evaluation system in New Jersey which will help to improve education for all the kids in New Jersey, and do so in a way that was outside of the normal hubbub that you have in this building. And I started that by asking Dr. Brian Zychowsky to be the chairman of that task force. And Brian is a longtime New Jersey teacher, principal, administrator, and now the superintendent of schools in North Brunswick. And we put together a group of folks from both charter schools, parochial school, 2 members of the teachers union, 1 member of the NJEA, 1 member of the AFT, and also a parent from the PTA in Lacey Township. I don't think anybody can question objectively the diversity of this group in terms of their experience and what they have brought to the table in terms of making this evaluation. So the task force has issued their report. And I think the first thing that you'll see when reading and evaluating the report is the extraordinary amount of work that went into it. And you can also tell that these are experienced educators who have put this together. These are not filled, it's not a report filled with platitudes and buzzwords. This is a report that is filled with real substantive recommendations for how we should move forward. They talk about a new teacher evaluation system and, importantly, a new principal evaluation system. They talk about recommendations to set positive conditions for implementation. And finally, they make recommendations to me, as I asked them to do, about the next steps for implementing this reform. You know, the big argument here is going to be about the use of measures of student achievement in evaluating teachers. And, you know, I find it fascinating that before the report was even issued or made public, that the New Jersey Education Association already came out opposed to it. This will tell you all you need to know about the NJEA. All you need to know. They haven't seen the report yet. They don't know what it says, and they're already opposed. I don't know why having, as was I think very thoughtfully put in the report, having student achievement, student test scores being part, not all, but part of how you evaluate the effectiveness of a teacher, why that has become, you know, their holy grail that they want to fight against. I suspect it's because of exactly what I've been saying all along, which is their charge is to protect the worst teachers. And they know the worst teachers will be outed if these type of things, test scores are put out there as part of the evaluation process. But we talk about school-wide performance measures. We talk about, in these student performance areas, measuring student growth, not pure achievement, but growth, because that's what you're hoping a teacher will help to provide to students, is to have them grow throughout the year or more that they're with a particular teacher. We also give flexibility in this report for districts to make their own choice about other factors that should be considered, subjective factors or other objective factors that should be considered in evaluating student achievement and what portion that should play in the measure of teacher performance. We also laid out principal evaluation, because one of the things that you'll see everybody say is that the leadership in these schools matters almost as much, if not just as much, as the teachers in the classroom. If you don't have effective principals who are going to be providing the type of leadership and direction, discipline, and inspiration in schools, you're not going to have an effective school. So our report goes through talking about how we measure retention of effective teachers, leadership practices, measures of student achievement also that apply to principals. Where we go from here is the commissioner and I are going to go out and start talking to the other stakeholders regarding how we implement this type of plan and whether we need to make some changes to the plan as been laid out by the Zychowsky Commission. I will tell you that I think that this is a really, really solid step in the right direction. And I think it's also interesting to note that even Randi Weingarten from the AFT has now started to talk about the fact that student test scores can be a part of evaluating the effectiveness of a teacher. The NJEA, once again, is proving to be the dinosaur that they are. They're in denial. And, you know, once again, they need to be a part of the solution. We put 2 union members on this task force to make sure that there were folks who had that voice there. Yet they continue to be opposed to anything that's put forward that does not protect the status quo. So first, I want to thank Brian for his leadership and the hard work that he put into this, and you'll hear from him in a moment. I want to thank Darrell Bradford from E3, Jesse Rector from the North Star Academy Charter School, Ross Danis from Drew University, Donna Sierra, who is an executive at the AFT and a special education resource teacher, Raphael Fajardo, who is the former president of the Elizabeth Board of Education, Father Leahy, the headmaster of St. Benedict's Prep in Newark, Jane Costco, retired teacher, NJEA member, and director of Operation Goodie Bag, and Peggy Sewell Giuliano, who's an executive board member of the Lacey Township High School PTA. Parents, teachers, administrators, parochial, charter, all participating in putting this report together. I urge you to read it. I urge you to read at least the executive summary. Don't just read our press release. Look at the work that's gone into this and the thoughtfulness that's gone into this. I think it's extraordinarily important, and the Commissioner and I look forward to working with Dr. Zychowsky as we go forward on other issues in terms of the implementation. What Brian is learning is what all the people who have accepted these task force assignments learned from me. Once you get in, you can't get out, especially when you do a good job. And Brian will continue to be working with us to try to get these measures put into effect so we can improve schools here in New Jersey. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask for Commissioner Cerf to make some of his comments. Then Dr. Zychowsky will make some of his comments, and I'll come back to take questions. So, Chris.